So there are a few things that strengthen our bodies, which would be, for example, good nutrition, good movement, good exercise, the movement of digestion, the movement of blood flow in the body, the movement of energy in the body, all that is healthy in the body. While proper movement creates good health, in the body, on the physical side, it's the opposite for the mind. If you want to have a healthy mind, then it's very important to learn the art of stilling the mind. If you observe your mind in everyday life, then it's probably anything but still. Probably moves a lot. There's a lot of thinking going on, a lot of anticipating, lots of wandering off into the future, into the past. And so there's a whole lot of agitation in the mind. The mind isn't really calm, it isn't really still for most people. That's the main reason why we have a hard time to really feel good, to feel truly happy, truly at ease, truly relaxed. Because the mind is constantly busy. And because it's constantly busy, it's leaking energy all the time. You lose a whole lot of energy from that. If the mind has no energy available, it feels kind of like not really good most of the time. So there might be some times during the day when you feel a bit better, but for most of us the mind is in a state that is relatively average. We're not experiencing ecstatic feelings for most of the day, or we're also not experiencing an inner form of hell most of the time. So it kind of moves along a middle line, sometimes a bit more of this, sometimes a bit more of that. But in general, the mind is kind of unstable. So your feelings, your emotional states, your thoughts, they can change throughout the entire day, many, many, many times. So far, is that according to your experience? Is your mind moving? Yes, you probably don't have just one thought over the entire day, right? Probably have many thoughts. And where do the thoughts come from? What is it that causes that mental motion, commotion? Do you have any idea? What could it be that makes the mind move? From your own experience.
Cravings.
Feelings, yes.
Cravings.
Cravings, yes. Stress, yes. While feelings and stress both are mental movements, craving is actually as well. What causes really mental movement is, in fact, craving. It is the mind either trying to accomplish or achieve something, to multiply an experience, make it bigger, larger, longer, or trying to get rid of an experience. Okay? That creates a whole lot of commotion. Also, what is causal for having a lot of internal movement is external movement. So you have external conditions that condition the mind. Like let's say, for example, you see something, you see a bird, then the mind has a perception. It knows it's a bird and so forth. So the mind starts to move as well. So there's a constant influx from the senses, from the 5 external senses. If you hear a sound, the mind is active. It vibrates with the sound. If you see something, the mind becomes active. It's mostly just caught up out there. Okay? So our attention, the word attention, means something like stretching out towards. It's from the Latin word tendere. Tendere means to stretch out. Yes, attention, it means stretching towards something. So when your consciousness stretches towards an object, then that is the kind of the job of attention. It gets consciousness to an object. And when that happens, then consciousness kind of gets mixed up with that object very often for us. For example, a thought might pass by, and you might completely get involved with that thought. Then it feels very much like you are the one who is thinking. Is that familiar? Like you have a voice in your head and you don't even know you have a voice in your head, but you feel very much like that's me talking there. Right? But is that actually true? Is it you that's talking there in your head? If you truly investigate, you find not necessarily. And what's the proof that it might not be you? It is the fact that you can see it. You can observe it. You can listen to the voice in your head. That's in itself a miracle. That's something quite amazing, actually. That you have the ability to listen to yourself. You can be aware of feelings, you can be aware of the voice in your head, you can be aware of emotional states that come and go. And through that awareness, we can learn that we are not the content that passes through consciousness. We can simply see that there are many, many conditions coming and going. That is where you can find some true centeredness or calm in the mind, in that awareness itself. So, for a beginner on the path, when we just start to practice with meditation technique, it's super important to learn to stabilize the mind first of all. Like really learning to calm the mind down properly, and going step by step so that the mind becomes still. Our mind is naturally still a few times actually every 24 hours when you're in deep sleep. Then your mind is completely still also. It doesn't do anything. That's why it's nice and restful. That's why you wake up feeling refreshed. Because for a little while you haven't made any problems. That's nice. That's why we enjoy sleeping. It knocks you out for a little while, and then you come back in the morning. And then the chatter starts again. The problem making starts again. The movement, the commotion starts again. So for all of you who actually have experienced genuine stillness in the mind for long enough, what's your experience? Is there anyone in here who has experienced proper stillness in the mind? No thoughts, no words, no pictures, no images, no stretching out of attention whatsoever for more than 20 seconds. Anyone? Yes. So what happens when the mind unifies like that? What have you observed?
It's very hard to describe actually. One thing that happened is that instead of seeing dark when you close your eyes, I just saw a veil of light.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that everything was right on its place, here and now. And I was just be. That was all.
Is that a generally more positive experience? Did you enjoy that experience, or was it nasty?
No, it was very different. It was very good.
Yes. So that's the thing. If the mind becomes still, it feels very, very good. Okay? That shows there are a few signs as well that when you're doing your meditation well, there are a few things should be happening. One, everything slows down. Two, your body becomes slowly more and more comfortable. For a beginner, that's hard to imagine because the whole body hurts when you sit meditation, yes? Particularly in the beginning. It's kind of like a fight. You have to keep the body still, and at the same time concentrate on the breathing. When everything hurts, it's pretty difficult. And it's part of the path. So you learn slowly to relax through that. As you relax more and more, the body becomes slowly more open, and with that, more comfortable. So when the body becomes more comfortable, you can slowly forget the body a bit more. You can be with the breathing, very gently. What happens to the breath if you go deeper? You stabilize. What have you observed?
It's more quiet, more,
Yes, it becomes more calm.
and more deeper kind of.
Uh-huh. More deep. Okay. What have you observed?
Like it's going on its own, like you really don't feel it any longer. It's
Mhm.
just living on its own. You don't have any tension in it.
Yes.
It just happens.
Yes. Phil?
I guess less resistance.
Correct, yes. Less resistance. And very often also the breath will become very, very shallow, almost to the point where it stops. Yes. So that shows you that you're kind of in the right direction. One, you start feeling better and better, happier and happier. And it's not the kind of happiness, how could we call it, like a party happiness that you have where your arms are up in the air and you're dancing and singing and laughter and so forth, which is very noisy as such. It's not that noisy kind of happiness. It's much more comfortable. Much more comfortable. It's very calm. It's felt all over the body. And it makes the mind feel very like, how you say, fulfilled. It's a very fulfilling sensation. Also that shows you're on the right track. Slowly the mind is coming together. And this is such a vital kind of learning because it shows you directly the mechanics of happiness. It shows you directly the cause of happiness. Without philosophy, without guessing, without making nice kind of quotes or statements, you can directly see what makes a human being happy, genuinely happy. And it is stillness in the mind. But I would say this is amongst one of the first major insights on the path. When you truly understand, wow, I can actually make myself really happy. And I don't need to add anything on to myself in order to make myself happy. This is a consumer mindset, right? Like, what can I add on to myself so I'm more happy? Like some people think, if I would only be more confident, then I could be more happy. Or if I would only be more grateful, I could be more happy. It's simpler than that. If there was just a little bit less movement in your mind, you could feel so much better. And you feel really, really good. In that same time, the body releases growth hormone. The deeper you go, the more you start to actually repair your body. The more you relax in meditation, the more it has a highly beneficial impact on the body itself. You start to heal, just like you do at night when you go into deep sleep. Your body heals, it recovers. You know that saying, right? There is no medicine better than sleep or something like that. It's good to sleep when you're sick. Helps the body to recover. The same thing happens in meditation, if you go deep enough. Another thing that happens is your mind starts to become empowered. What does that mean? We all need to make decisions, right? Every day you have to make decisions, you have to talk with people, you have to be creative, have ideas in your job. We have to communicate with one another. We have to master all kinds of challenges throughout the day. Now, if you are well rested, if your mind is calm, it is kind of ready. You can just apply it to whatever you want to apply it, and it does its job really, really well. You need a good idea? Enter some stillness. Let the mind completely rest and calm down. So when it is refreshed, it can present you with great ideas, solutions, creativity, wisdom, insights, whatever it is that you require. You need to make an important decision. Instead of freaking out about the options that you have and trying to make the right decision and so forth, it's much better to make a decision based on calmness. It's It's kind of like having an overview. Ajahn Brahm gives this beautiful example of when you're lost in a forest, when you're lost in a jungle, and you try to find your way out. What would you do? You're lost in the jungle, you've been walking around circles for days. Slowly your water is getting less and less. What would you do? Any ideas? What would be a clever thing to do?
Sit still.
Sit still. Just wait to die. That's an option, yes. If you want to survive, though, what could you do? You want to get out of the jungle. Be calm, for sure. That helps. But how do you actually find your way out?
Searching a river.
Say again?
Searching a river.
Searching a river, yes. Okay, good idea. But how can you see a river? It's all leaves everywhere.
Climb a tree.
Climb a tree, that's it. Find a higher ground, right? Because when you have a viewpoint, you can see far. So you find the next hill or a high tree or something, you can climb that tree, you can see very far. That is, for example, one of the benefits of meditation. If you have a calm mind, you kind of have an overview. You're not freaking out in the thicket of thoughts down there. Yes? But you are on a higher point. You can breathe, you can stay calm, you can stay relaxed. Your decisions are much more clear. Much more beneficial also. Because they do not come out of fear or confusion, worry, despair, anxiety, depression. They come out of a much more creative power, which is stillness itself. So there's so many benefits to meditation whatsoever. You can find them all online. There are nice lists of how meditation can help you master your life and so forth. We all know this, but it's important to practice. If you do not do the work, if you do not do the practice, sure, you do not get these benefits. And is it okay to do just 10 minutes of meditation with an app, maybe every once a week or twice a week? No, it's not enough, for sure not. It's nice. It's like taking a 10-minute nap. This is nice too. Or standing in the sun for 10 minutes. That's nice too. But that's not meditation. Now some people say, oh, I meditate when I'm in the gym, or I meditate when, I read my books by the beach. All that is not meditation. That is relaxing, it's nice. Meditation is a whole different ballgame. Like proper meditation, it means you want to sit down without any distractions, without any apps also, and learn how to bring your mind back to the object by yourself. The problem with apps is they kind of do it for you. Guided meditations are nice, they're good to learn a particular technique, for example. You can do a guided meditation for a good while until you get the routine. Once you have the routine, once you truly understand how to do it, what's the step one, what's step two, etc., then I recommend to drop the app, drop the guided meditation, and instead then teach yourself to remember the object. For example, if you do breathing meditation like we did, then you need to bring yourself back to the breath, right? If you have a voice in your earphone that goes, and now, remember the breath. That is nice. And that's why many people like guided meditation, because it makes them feel like they really have good meditation. And for that it's nice. It's a good relaxation exercise. It introduces you to the technique and so forth. But real meditation, it means you have to go, oh, there was a thing, right? It was the breath. I totally forgot. So you come back to the breath. You must do that by yourself. Not a voice in your earphone. So that's the key to good practice. And when you do the work, when you sit down every day for a little while, and you actually practice diligently, regularly, results are bound to show. If you put in the causes, results are bound to show. There's no way around that. If you practice sincerely and with devotion to the practice, if your happiness is really important to you, then why not train directly for it? Why always try to get happiness only indirectly by consuming things or consuming the presence of others? Instead, why not really go directly where it comes from your own mind? Why not learn how to dig in and get it right there? It's not far at all. It's closer than we think. The more happiness you carry in your heart, in your mind, the more independent, the more free you become. The less stuff you need, the less needy we are. What is a good example of neediness? Let's say in a relationship, if someone is needy, someone needs your attention, how does that feel? It's unpleasant, right? Somebody is not open and ready to freely give love because they need a lot of love. That becomes hard then. Often is the cause of conflict in relationships, isn't it? I might say constantly, I love you, honey, I love you, honey. And I only say it because I want to hear you say it to me, actually. I want to hear the answer. I love you too. So I can feel, everything is still all right. Because I have very low self-esteem. So I need to constantly hear that someone loves me because I don't love myself very much. Does that make sense? Now, if you're happy, you don't have that problem. In fact, it's even better. You not only don't have that problem, you can also share your happiness with other people. And how do you do that? By telling them jokes all day? Of course not. You share your happiness through your being. Through your stillness, actually. And through your ability to pay attention to another human being fully. That is healing in itself. It's very, very nice for anyone. We all want to be seen, we all want to be loved, we all want to be heard and received by another. If there is one person that can give you that, it's a very precious person in your life. And you can be that person. So you can learn to receive yourself, your pain, in awareness. You can allow yourself to gradually heal, to release all that stuff that we carry around with ourselves, to reintegrate all the discarded, abandoned aspects of ourselves. All the things that we carry around that we would neglect. We would say, no, that's not who I am. Anger, for example. We want to have nothing to do with it. Other emotions, grief, depression, despair, doubts, anxiety. We don't want to have anything to do with it. But there is a tremendous energy in these emotions. If you can reintegrate them through proper practice, you become more energized, more aligned, more okay with being a human being. There's no need to pretend. There's no need to show other people that you are special, that you are good. There's no need, in fact, to apply any filter to yourself in society, to show yourself through a filter of whatever you deem to be proper. But you can just be yourself. And that's very nice. It's nice to hang around authentic people. It's really refreshing. It allows you to be authentic too. So there's so many benefits, again, as I said. And they all come to you once you start sitting down and appreciating yourself, becoming calm with yourself, receiving yourself as you are, learning from what there is. There's a whole lot to see if you watch yourself, if you watch carefully and kindly.